The presentation went awesome. It was a very balanced discussion with people who had critical questions, but also some really thoughtful questions as well. I've built a relationship with the people who live in the area for the last year, and it's exciting to see that people are talking. To be part of these conversations is probably the best part of my job. It's what drives me to come out here and visit. It is going to affect people's lives, which is why they come out. This exchange of information is extremely important. Otherwise, how do we continue the conversation?
I've lived in Smithers for 52 years now. I was born here. I love Smithers because of its natural beauty and the ability to get out, enjoy the rivers, the mountains. It's just a wonderful place to be. My hope for the future of Smithers is that it has steady growth. So that's being smart about the economy and realizing that we do need jobs. And how will that be compatible with the environment? The fear is making sure that things are good through the lifetime of those lines that are running through and that we don't hurt the environment. Right now we have businesses that thrive because of a good environment that we have here. Companies need to hold to a fairly high standard. The info sessions and the conversations and dialogue with companies and government and the people are crucial to the future.
We've heard many requests for what is LNG. There's a lot of confusion, especially with the number of different pipelines and projects being proposed in the area.
Unless you really research it and you really focus on what it is that is being done, and you have to kind of dissect what the different pipelines are proposing, it is really hard to follow.
There is just so much going on right now. For any one person to know it all is just virtually impossible.
It is essential for these companies to have a conversation with the public and to do the process of listening to what the people have to say.
And it's through those conversations with community members that there was an effort to bring someone like Eric to demonstrate what is LNG from the physical property side. Thanks for coming.
Okay.
Feel free to make yourself comfortable. Make yourselves comfy and help yourself to dinner if you like.
Thanks.
What we're doing is we're going to give an overview of kind of the whole business. We're talking about specifically natural gas. That's what we would be transporting in our Coastal GasLink Pipeline. That's what LNG Canada will be converting into LNG. We have almost 70,000 kilometers of pipe. We transport about 20% of all the natural gas used in North America every day. You can see that piece of pipe over here. That's the size of our pipe, 48 inches in diameter. We have 2 mountain ranges to go through. We have protected areas. All of these we consider as we move through and route our pipeline. For TransCanada, this is something that we do. So these things are impacted to the least extent. We may clear a fairly large area when we're actually building the pipeline, but when the pipeline's in operation, we reseed, we allow things to grow back in, and we only need an area about 10 meters to inspect the pipeline. But we do reclaim it to as near as possible what it looked like before we started. So that's the end of my presentation. Now I'll introduce you to Eric, and they call him Mr. LNG.
So this is a presentation that we do to provide just a basic level of education about where LNG is being used and ultimately how LNG behaves, what its physical properties are, and how it doesn't behave, probably most important. How many have gas in the homes, by the way? Just show of hands. So almost everyone. So that's it. That's liquefied natural gas right there. Same exact product as we have in our house, just in liquid form. So there's no odor that you can smell here. It's not toxic, so if it spills on the land or the water, it will not harm anything. It is lighter than air. So again, in the event that it spills, it will evaporate and it will go right up to the atmosphere. And we'll show a little demonstration of that. We vaporized it, and now we have it in this balloon. And on the lighter than air, you can see that that goes right up to the atmosphere. So in the event of a spill, it's just gonna, off it goes. Who would believe me if I said you cannot burn LNG? Nobody? So, that cigarette is about 370 degrees C on the tip. You know, I don't smoke, but the more I do these demos, the more I want to do them. So we know that we can put that out in the LNG.
I thought it went really well. Yeah, there was some good experiments, a little humor added to it, and how'd you say, a lot of facts.
We really do want to talk, and we want to make sure it's as little impact as possible, but that also when we leave a legacy behind. And I'll say right now, you know, we're going to have to earn your trust. We're going to have to earn it. We're going to have to earn it by talking. We're going to have to earn it by demonstrating we do what we say we're going to do.
The demonstration tonight, I think that it enlightens me a lot more about, you know, what gas is.
I definitely feel there was a conversation here tonight. The question and answer period went on quite a bit longer than I expected it would. There's still people talking right now, and it's got to be a half hour after the presentation was done.
I thought it was a good answer to a tough question.
Today we're headed to Burns Lake to meet with the community and some First Nations groups. The ability to see it firsthand with their own eyes and really interact with natural gas, I think, brings a new element to the conversation that we're having. We heard time and time again the importance of the land, of the rivers, of the streams to the people in BC, and we also heard that there's a lot of misinformation out there about what it is exactly is being proposed, what the product is, what's in the pipeline, how the pipeline gets built, what the risks are. So there's a lot of questions, and questions create uncertainty, and unless they're certain about what it is we're talking about, clearly they're not going to be in a position to support it.
We're starting to see people more engaged, and so if people aren't getting the information, then they jump to conclusion, which may not always be right. To have that conversation is important. The community like Burns Lake that hasn't seen this type of activity in decades, we're not sure what's going to happen. And so it is extremely important for the proponents to get out into our community, talk about what the opportunities are, what some of the potential risks or challenges may be, and work with us on how we can mitigate the challenges, but also capture on the opportunities.
The opportunity that we're looking at for Coastal GasLink, we are heavily involved in communities along the way where we are. We pay a lot of taxes. We spend a lot of money when we're constructing it. So all of these are opportunities for the local communities and for the BC economy in general.
So now we're going to actually make some LNG. When we make LNG, we're in no way, shape, or form transforming the molecules. We're simply cooling it down. And we're going to show you that as we pour more gas and continue that cooling process. It gets smaller and smaller. So this is basically what they're doing in Kitimat. Now, they use slightly different equipment than balloons and beakers. There's actually liquid in there. See that liquid? So we've just made LNG. As the gas comes down the pipe, it is a gas, and in Kitimat is where this liquefaction process is happening. We're gonna start up here. You'll light the lighter, and we'll have you come down and just gradually work your way down with the flame to find where we're gonna have 5% mixture with air. Okay? So that's that band of flammability, 5%, 15%. Now, if you had an LNG spill and a fire, There's no sense in putting it out because if you're outside, now you have a gas cloud that's going like this in the wind and you don't really know where it is. So as long as it's burning, you know where the risk is. Just let it burn and we'll get some marshmallows, we'll do some s'mores and have some fun.
Burns Lake went really well today. It was well attended and people really enjoyed the presentation. You don't just, walk in and shake somebody's hand and kind of walk away. I have an opportunity to make a friend, to make a connection, and now we got to boogie down to Vanderhoof and have another community meeting there and end the night eventually in Prince George.
They're not eggs, Ted.
Yeah. You guys, we need a hook.
And I need a hook. Well, I don't really know too much about the projects that are coming through, except that they're going to Kitimat with a...
We need something to boost the economy, and we need to be moving our natural resources.
The thing is, too, like the young people, they need the jobs, eh? Forest industry is dying down around here, I know that.
Well, from what I understand, natural gas is probably about the safest. From what I was told, that if you do get a spill, the gas about evaporates. So safety is a big factor.
Hope to make a few for you guys. Well, it's nice to know what's going on, in your surrounding areas, whether it's going to benefit us or going to harm us. To get right down to the nitty-gritty, that's what I like.
Are you ready to go? Can I help you with anything else?
I'm ready to go.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Well
Looking
done.
forward to it.
Great.
So when we're maintaining the Coastal GasLink, we do frequent helicopter patrols of the pipe with these sensitive instruments. We also do a lot of foot patrols, mostly in areas around our facilities such as compressor stations and valves. So we have people looking at all the pressures and temperatures and everything on this particular pipeline 24/7. We practice in case something would happen. We do these exercises with all the local fire departments, local police departments, first responders, communities, all along our route. Last year, we did 90 such exercises. We want the responders to be prepared and to act so that the public is safe.
That was a good presentation. Certainly showed us kind of where the line was going to go. There was a good, strong feeling of understanding at that point.
That water is very warm. It's adding heat to that cold LNG, and it's boiling it off, just like water on the stove.
I think the public needs to have access to this kind of information. I found that a lot of the demonstrations that were done today really brought it home to me, and I said, okay, now I understand a lot clearer what's going to happen. As TransCanada comes, or any pipeline comes through, they're going to become citizens of a community. It's important that each group understands the other. It's important for the residents to understand the corporation that's going to be operating the gas line. And that dialogue is going to have to continue.
Our objectives have always been, whatever people's decisions are, yes or no, we want that decision to be informed. What makes me happy is that they're voicing their concerns and they're continuing a dialogue with us. And I think that's where we'll be more successful as a project because we take that quite seriously. We have to keep the momentum going and keep the conversation going. So meetings like tonight, the roadshow like we had this past few days will continue. It's ongoing. It doesn't end today.